Welcome. We bid you welcome, John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world. We got the faithful co-captain from the Music Nut program, John the Music Nut. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great, John. Welcome, Nick.
Yes,
Hey guys,
first time since our little concert thing when we saw Uriah Heep and Saxon up in Jim Thorpe, Mr. Nick Esquire. We've been wanting to get him on here for a little while, so I'm thankful to have you on, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm elusive. I'm coming to you from a place I don't normally broadcast from on YouTube videos, but you caught me. So
I was gonna say we usually see him on the Contrarians and Grant's Rock Warehouse and probably a few other places I don't remember. But yeah, so we finally got Nick with us. This is a bunch of Pennsylvania boys right here.
that's
Me
right.
me being a Pennsylvania boy originally, and John and Nick both. But now before we go into our usual spiel about what we're doing, because this is because of just keep in mind we're talking about accept. And we are going to be talking, we're not going to be playing Russian roulette, but we're going to be talking a lot about it.
Right.
Before we do that, I don't know who got to watch the Grab a Stack of Rocks show that came out this past Friday when Mike and I did the B section of our CD collections. I wanted to share just a little special thing that I didn't get a chance to tell John, and I didn't pass this on to Nick. So this will actually be the first time he'll actually get to hear this. So Friday, like shortly before we started recording the show, my niece Amanda posted a little thing about our good buddy Sammy here. Okay. She writes, this was on Friday, so that would have been the 11th. So that day last year, they had just finished radiation treatments on Sammy, which was a huge milestone in his journey. That this past Friday, he got to complete the last of the planned chemo treatment and hopefully the last ever. So that is another wonderful thing. His chemo treatments are done. At this point now, yes, they will still have to go for some checkups. Um, who knows what'll happen there, but they seem to think the chemo treatments are complete. So that is a good thing. Clear is, and he did well throughout the entire week. So he seemed energetic. So I think that's a really great sign. I'm so thankful for that. As folks know, John has been he's been a little bit emotionally invested in this story too because I've shared a lot with him off air and about this journey, and so it's been a very special thing for me. It's been a tough couple years, obviously for my family, because it's just one of those type of journeys you don't ever expect to have to go on, but there's people all over this world that have been keeping that little boy in their thoughts and prayers. And so, to all of those people, I said this Friday, I'm going to say it again. I thank you. My family thanks you. One day, I'm going to get my niece on here and we're going to talk about it. I hope one of these days we'll actually get to do it, but we'll see. That's for a future time. But again, thank you. We very much appreciate it. So, now to the topic at hand, Russian roulette. So, released 1986. I don't actually have Wiki didn't give too many dates as far as when it was recorded and things of that nature, but released 1986, recorded at the Dirks studio again, but this time no Dieter Dirks at the helm, produced by Accept themselves. Again, on the RCA label, I believe, mostly in Europe, still on Portrait and Epic here in the States. Um, let's see, only one single, and it was a Japan only single. That was for the song TV War. Uh, okay reception for the most part. It's not quite as glowing as it was for Balls to the Wall or Metal Heart or Restless and Wild. Chart wise, down in Peter Kerr and Bicycle Legs and Harrison Kopp and a few other folks that we know, their neck of the woods this album got to 93 in Finland, the place where we all want to be. Number three, this did really well there. John's favorite part again, the German shots, which I'm gonna love doing that. I don't know why I do that. Number 5. So this did well in Germany. Japan goes up to 26. Over in my buddy Paul in Ovi Random's neck of the woods, number in Norway, number 16. Swedish charts, number 9. The Swiss charts, number 23. UK only gets up to number 80. And the Billboard charts, yeah, it only hits to 114. Does not certify anywhere, at least as far as we know. But this would be the last album featured with Mr. Udo Dirkschneider. So, with that, for a little while anyway, for a little while. But with that in mind, Mr. Nick Esquire, before we have you talk about the album, let's talk about your point of entry into Accept. And then we'll let you go into the album itself.
Yeah, quickly. Point of entry was seeing them live, opening for Kiss on the Balls to the Wall tour at the Tower Theater in Philadelphia.
Nice.
So even though they were opening act, got to have a good taste of them. I can't remember, although I think I was aware of the song Balls to the Wall before the show. So I knew enough about the band where I knew I had heard the song. I knew this was like a song that was really making waves, and it was a sort of like a seminal moment, I think, in me learning about heavy metal and hard rock. But I saw them open. The show was a phenomenal show. We were up in the rafters at the Tower Theater, famous place outside of Philadelphia. But Accept was great. Now I was about 14 at the time. A friend of mine came with me, and my aunt and uncle drove us there 2 hours to get there. But I remember this, and I'll jump ahead maybe because it's maybe it highlights maybe what some of the beauties of Accept and maybe some of the things that sort of limited Accept, at least from my vantage point. But the show started, and my aunt, who was more of a fan of Cat Stevens and Dan Fogelberg and Crosby, Stills and Nash, but she was going to humor me. She had also seen Kiss in Binghamton in like 75 or 76. Nice. With Mott, who opened up. But anyway,
oh wow,
yeah, it was a good show. But when the Accept came out, they came out like gangbusters. They're on the tank, the lick it up tank turret and the tracks. And then Udo comes out with his military fatigues, and with the short hair. And my aunt turned and just started laughing. And she's like, and she didn't use this term. It was a different term at the time. But she's like, is he a little person? Because he comes out, he looked like he was walking on his knees. And then he sort of screaming in the mic like a California raisin with his face all wrinkled up. But that may have highlighted the beauty of Accept and maybe some of their limitations in Udo. But they were a great show. They only played songs off Restless and Wild and Balls to the Wall. Tidy 8-song set. They led the show off with Fast as a Shark. Of course, they did Balls to the Wall and a bunch of other songs in between, like Princess of the Dawn, Restless and Wild, London Leather Boys. But loved Accept. I love Peter Baltus. I loved his bass playing. He had great stage presence. The band was great on stage, real heavy. The crowd was into them. And they were a perfect complement, in my opinion, to Kiss at the time. So I thought that they really opened the show. A lot of energy. And of course, Kiss put on a great show. Got to see Vincent in that show. But it was a great time. And that was my entry point. And from then on, I was a fan. Of course, I went forward with Metal Heart. And then I think I went back to Restless and Wild. And then when this came out, now I'm in my secret location lair. So I forgot the vinyl, but I actually owned this album on vinyl when it came out.
Nice.
So I was a fan. And right off the bat, I like this album. I've been watching your videos. Maybe I've seen all but maybe one. I kind of grouped those early albums up through Breaker. And then for me, I think it's 4 albums. It's Restless and Wild, Balls to the Wall, Metal Heart, and then this one. And because then after this one, there's a break, and then you've got a new singer. So I kind of lumped this in those 4 with 4 albums. But I like this one. I think what I can't figure out on this album is what happened. It seemed like they fell off a cliff as far as promotion. You didn't read about them in magazines. You didn't see videos about them. Like the buzz was gone. I did look up to try to maybe get a sense of where were things at album release wise. I think they were in a tough place in the marketplace. and we can talk about that later. But it was a tough, yeah, almost like too much competition. Like a week before, what was released? Turbo was released. AC/DC's Who Made Who was released, and then a month or so after this album was released, you went into that really sweet spot where Poison was getting released, and Cinderella, and David Lee Roth, a little on the softer side, but it was still, I think, competing for video play and airplay and that kind of thing. So I'm not really sure, but I really enjoyed the album, and yeah, when we want, let's talk about it. I think this is an album that, for me, I think it stands up well with the other three that preceded it. It may be slightly lesser in some people's eyes, but I come back to this album over and over again when I come back to Accept. Let's put it that way. And I like it. I think it's a good one.
All right. All right. So go ahead and break the tracks down if you want, and or however, whichever,
Yeah.
if you want to highlight songs or whatever. But let's think of another album that came out in '86, Somewhere in Time.
Somewhere in Time, yeah. And some albums, think about it now, because I was looking through the list, like later on in the summer, there's a lot of competition. Like Motorhead had Orgasmatron. That didn't do anything in the marketplace. It was a good album. I saw them live on that tour, but there's a lot of stuff right after the new year, and they were still on the upswing, but Metallica came out. So there's all these different sounds and bands in the air. I think this album just got kind of lost in the shuffle. I'll say this too right off the bat. I like the album cover. I kind of like the name of the album, but this kind of imagery is not going to sell in the States. To me, this is dead on arrival. John, we lived through this. I mean, I was a fan of Gary Moore and all these bands a lot of times talked about, because they were in Europe and the Cold War and a lot of nuclear this and nuclear that. That stuff didn't play well in the States. It didn't do much. He had Megadeth with some songs, Peace Cells, blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't really at least put it this way, the U.S. marketplace is focused usually on other things. And you look at it with the albums that came out, it was a hair metal time. Things like Judas Priest snuck through, AC/DC, but I just don't know if there was enough room for an album like this with that imagery of Russian roulette. I just don't know if that was something that was sort of just kind of a miss conceptually. But anyway, the song to me starts off with a bang with TV War. And some may say it's sort of, son of Fast as a Shark. I love this song. The double bass drums, they really take the melodies to another level. They take the guitar playing to another level. I think overall in this album, these background vocals really, I think, get to their pinnacle. They've been evolving, and I think this album really shows the care and effort. They were the producers of the album, and I think they really took it to another place with the vocal harmonies. But the TV War to me, and then lyrically, and I don't usually gravitate towards first, but when you think about now, we look back on it, we're going on 40 years. This song was way ahead of its time. So if someone missed this album, you can go back and hear it and go, whoa, these guys were really saying something from back in '86. They're talking about watching a war on TV. 5 years later, we have the first Iraq War, and then all these other wars. We watch war now from the comfort of our homes in the States and the rest of the world because of technology and the like. And this song talks about it, how people are dying, and we can watch it on the screen. It was ahead of its time. I think in '86 we didn't really sort of like understand it. I didn't understand it, didn't get it, but the song itself is just bludgeoning to me. Love it. The other two songs that are highlights to me on the album, the best of the group is I like the title track, Russian Roulette. Love that song. Another sort of war theme kind of song. Great vocals, great Accept type riffs, and Udo doing his best Bon Scott, et cetera, et cetera. The third song that I think is really, to me, the high water mark of this album is Heaven is Hell, and I love that song. Lyrically, it's pushing the envelope, talking about some things religion wise and things that we all wrestle with, but it's a really good, and I'll tell you this, it's 7 minutes long, and I'm more don't bore us, get to the chorus. It's one of the few 7-minute songs I hang in there for all the time. I find it interesting. Udo's doing his thing. You got the background vocals. It's everything you want and accept. The criticism could be for those three songs, maybe they're repeating themselves, whether it's Balls to the Wall or Fast as a Shark. But at the same time, they developed their sound, as we know from watching your show. They developed the way they stylized their lead vocals and harmonies and background vocals. I just think they're them. so it's another step in the evolution of them. So that to me is the three I think standout tracks for me. Um, I'll hit two songs I think are the low water marks of the album. And I know you got one song you guys are gonna like. It just doesn't resonate with me. I don't like Monster Man. I know they played it live. I think that song is we're searching for a hit. I think the chorus is silly. I like the lyrical content. Sounds like a Kevorkian type of thing, is he committing a crime or is it mercy kind of thing? So I get it. I don't get it with Udo, just the way they approach the melodies. It seems like they were looking for something kind of like for me, I'm not the biggest fan of Screaming for a Love Bite. I just don't know if that to me is I watched half of Butch's thing. I missed that part. I watched the second half where you guys keep talking about except traveling all over Pennsylvania. But so Monster Man doesn't stand out to me. And what's the other song? I'll look at my list. It was Man Enough to Cry. It doesn't do much for me at all. But I think the rest of the album for me are songs. They're not they're classic and standard, except you've got some fast ones, you got some heavy ones, you've got great guitar work, you've got great bass playing. I'm not the biggest fan of the production of this album. I think the drums could have been a lot heavier. I think some of this was neutered. When I listened to it, even on the algorithm the last week or so, and then when you listen to it on vinyl, there's this like mid-rangey crackling going on there that I don't know. It seemed like there's something that just kind of like displeasing to my ear. I know Michael Wagner, I think, was part of the mixing or mastering of this. I don't know if you saw that, John, because I don't have my album in front of me, but I know Dieter Dirks wasn't involved, but albeit at a studio. But I think Michael Wagner was somehow involved. But
yes,
I think that, and to restate the thing, if there are Accept fans that have missed this album, I think it's an evolution on sort of like the vocal melodies and the background. And they seem like they're even singing in a lower register, and there's like a cast of thousands singing, which I really like. And so for me, that stood out. I like this album too because I come back to it. It's not an album that has for me gotten too long in the tooth, so I do like it. And I kind of, again, I don't remember it being pushed anywhere. I don't remember reading about it in magazines. I don't have any knowledge as to why it was sort of ignored, other than we were just talking about. I think maybe the album cover, the imagery. I think the marketplace was tough. But if you've missed this album and you're an Accept fan and you like Balls to the Wall and you like Restless and Wild and you like Metal Heart, you have to like this album. You have to. I mean, it's right in there.
Yep.
So, anyway, but that's sort of like my overview of it. But I'd be curious to hear what you guys say, and then maybe we can get into it.
All right. Well, John, floor is yours, my friend.
Before we go on, Nick,
Okay.
how would you rank this one on a scale of 1 to 10?
Compared to other Accept albums, let's do it on that. I probably would give it. Let's see. Restless and Wild and Balls to the Wall are 9s plus. Metal Heart, I have slightly lower. To me, this is like, depending on the day, this could be a 7.5 to 8. Okay. I think it's that tightly grouped with the other albums. That's what I want to say. It may be a little lesser for whatever reason, and it might be just because no one else knows it, but I don't think it's like a big drop off to me. I think it's like right in there. And I found it to be a pleasant experience. I liked it. And, just if you haven't heard the album, just based on those 3 songs alone, I mean, oh, by the way, I did a little check. I know John always checks Setlist FM. They dusted off TV War. They dusted off Monster Man as late as 2018. And I know you guys got to see them a few weeks ago. I saw them here a few days earlier, and it sounded great. And I think the problem was you play those songs, people are like, huh, what album is this from? But TV War would have been, it fits right in with everything. And I know that Mark Tanillo could sing it, obviously. And whether they played Russian Roulette or even Monster Man, I know they play that one, it would have fit right in. But obviously there's more well-known songs they have to get to, but these songs would fit right into what they're doing now and the rest of the Accept canon for me.
Right. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think there's these days you get a lot. I don't know if the crowd at the Sherman Theater would have been more diehard type fans or
Right.
casual fans. But yeah, I think casual fans hearing something like TV War would, yeah, they probably would have been like, huh?
Huh? Right.
What?
Right.
But
Although
maybe not.
that drummer would have been a beast playing that song.
Oh, oh
That would have
gosh,
been
yes.
Double
ridiculous.
Yes.
Ridiculous. So
Yes. So,
anyway.
all
All
right,
right.
John, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Hmm.
I agree with some of the things that Nick is saying and don't agree with others, but we definitely agree on the standout tracks. Those are the only three that I have big asterisks next to. If I was to make say a top 20 or 25 songs by accept throughout their career, the three songs that Nick mentioned would be in my top 25.
Oh, yeah. All right. Good.
They're
Makes
that
sense.
good. You got
Yeah.
it. They're
Yeah.
that good. Now, very topical record. We're talking a lot about war. We're talking about prisoners of war. We're talking about religion. They're trying to be more accessible, but they're also trying to go back to their early sounds. How I rank this album is you could tell which songs Udo loves on it because Udo sings the hell out of songs he loves, and the songs
Right.
he's not into, he's just kind of phoning it in, and he's just like, all right, I'll sing it. TV War, Udo's in his glory. He's singing the hell out of this track. Fast-paced intro a la Motorhead. The double bass on there is fantastic. Excellent track. We're talking about mass media in what in likes of war. And at this time, there was a very real threat of nuclear war. And you saw that through, I mean, we weren't in a war, but there was that threat throughout the 1980s that we may go to war where us and USSR we're in a war, we're in a competition trying to get more missiles. That is very apparent in this song. Excellent track. Yes, I never really thought about Fastest as Shark Part 2, but I think this song is strong enough that it stands out on its own. Excellent track. Their number 43 most played song.
Oh, wow.
I'm with you on Monster Man. I like it. I don't love it. This was the video off the album. It might be the most accessible song, but it's not, I mean, it's average. It's got a
Yeah.
cool riff on it. The gang vocals are pretty cool. As Nick indicated, those patented gang vocals are very predominant on this album. It's a decent track. Now, Russian Roulette, the title track, killer.
Oh,
Fantastic.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The intro, the atmospheric intro with
Yeah.
Udo singing in a whisper to that guitar, like do 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 do.
I know. I know. I love that.
Isn't that awesome?
Hmm.
And it's just that guitar line rising from the ashes, and then it goes back right into that verse. Dun, 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 dun. Then you hear those guitars, those chords really ring, and then Udo singing it louder and with
Right.
lot more passion, and it just builds in momentum until it gets in the
Yeah.
chorus. War game.
I know.
Awesome.
Hey, not to cut you off though, but Udo has that one line where it highlights his English pronunciation. He goes, "He's screaming pain and Wayne instead of
Yeah.
Vane." He says Wayne. I always that lyrical line always stands out for me because he mispronounces it. Screaming
Right.
pain and Wayne.
Right. Exactly. The solo on here from Wolf, very lyrical. You could sing this solo. I think
Yeah.
it's a wonderful solo. The bridge destroys. That bridge on here is fantastic. It really builds on that song. After they go back into that bridge a second time, and then you hear the explosions, and then you hear the ticking time bomb, that brings it up another notch. Fantastic. The use of space on this song.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I think this song is a production triumph for them when you look
Yes.
at when you compare the stuff. This is like the pinnacle of what they can do. I think that it's the height of what they can do with Udo, let's put it that way. Yeah.
I agree with that. And then we get to something that is very un-Udo like in It's Hard to Find a Way, which is their attempt at a power ballad. Now,
Yeah.
if you want to hear Udo sing a ballad, you listen to Can't Stand the Night Off a Breaker. Here, he's singing it low because if he goes into his regular voice on those verses, it's not going to work. It's a good song, but maybe just would have sounded better if someone like David Coverdale sang it or or David Reese.
Yeah, and you know what's weird too? Doesn't it sound like there's female, excuse me, female vocalists in there too? Which sometimes it's a little bit of a jarring thing when you compare it with Udo. So the background vocals are a little different. It reminded me too the beginning when he's low, that sort of Cold Winter Dreams song off of Balls to the Wall. But that's a much better song,
Oh,
much better song.
yeah, we talk glowingly about that song.
Yeah,
We all love Winter Dreams.
yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. Now aiming high, now we're back to the killer riffs. Peter and Stefan driving this train. It's got a really cool chorus in it. You got
Yep.
some nice call and response in the guitar solos. That's Jorgen Wolf going back and forth in that. This is killer. Now it's not one of the best songs on the album, but the riffs on it are really killer. Now we're getting back to their earlier sound. Heaven is Hell. Some people have called this Balls to the Wall Part 2. But like Nick, I think this stands on its own. The bridge on this, just like on Russian Roulette, makes this song. It's very eerie. You got that organ in there. It sounds like it's some horror movie.
That's right.
Yeah. And the beginning of this, when it builds into that verse, is killer. Excellent track. A song about religion, a song about how they feel about religion, how a lot of people felt about religion back then, like the differences in certain religions and something that we deal with to this day. I'm not really going to go on a diatribe about
right. Right.
We all have our own opinions on it, but excellent track. This is an epic. Again, 7 minutes, but as Nick indicated, this is taking you on a ride. This song takes you in. It does not feel long at all.
Right
place.
I like Udo too in the middle part where he does a lot of the talking, patented Udo stuff, but he almost takes the persona. It reminds me of almost like an Anglican pastor from the pulpit when he started doing his thing. And heaven is there, heaven, like the whole thing is very. I feel like I could be in a church hearing this, except it's Udo.
Right. Now, this was where Nick and I will differ because when I listened to this album, and this thought just popped in my head yesterday, this is to accept like Point of Entry is a Judas Priest because you got all this greatness early and some other songs that are pretty good. And then there's a drop off on those last 4 songs. The difference is the songs on the last 4 songs on this are better than the last 4 songs on Point of Entry, which is why this is going to get a slightly better ranking. Having said that, I still like Another Second to Be. I don't think it's as good as the best songs on here, but it's got that driving riff. It's a very strong performance. You read it, it's about serial killer. That's meet his fate, ready to go to share. Excellent track. The pre-chorus on here is very cool. The riffs are excellent. Good track. Walking in the Shadow. A decent song destroyed by a weak chorus.
Oh, okay.
Shadow. Dur, 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 dur.
You don't like the whoa. You don't like that.
I like that part.
Uh-huh.
It's just the chorus kills. Just that little chorus kills it. I like those church bells. I like the gang vocals. But you're listening to this, it has this cool opening, and you think you're going to get another great song out of it, and it just never comes to fruition. It's just you're waiting for something big, and it just never happens, and that chorus is just silly. There's
Right.
some cool riffs on it, but I don't think it's a good song. I'm with you on Man Enough to Cry. And this song and the next song, I'm like, listening to these riffs, I'm thinking these are Bachman Turner Overdrive riffs, but they're louder.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Again, we're trying to get more melodic on here, but again, the chorus is silly. I don't think Udo's heart was in this at all because this is Wolf trying to go in a more accessible direction. Doesn't quite work. Stand Tight is my least favorite song on the album.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, wow.
I
All
do
right.
not like Stand Tight. I don't like the way the gang vocals are done. It's almost like a football chant. It's kind
Well, it
of
is. Right.
yeah, it's kind of silly. I mean, I like the one riff where it goes do 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 before we go into the chorus. That's the best part of the song to me. But some of these other riffs, they're so BTO. I'm waiting for Udo to come in and go, "You can see the morning," and that's what I'm waiting for. And it doesn't happen. It just doesn't take off at all.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good closer. That's the thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
it's almost that song is almost like a denouement. It's like you should have had a heavier closer, and this sort of like fades out at the end with that song. But
it,
I hear you. I thought this song was I did like the background vocals, but it sounds like I was just hopeful that all the background singers got out of the well that they were all stuck in because it was just a million people cast 1,000 stuck in this well with the
yes.
reverb and the thing. But
It's
yeah,
it's too much. And
yeah.
the song just doesn't stand out. I mean, yeah.
Stand Tight doesn't stand out.
Come again?
Stand Tight doesn't stand out.
Stand Tight does not stand out. That's
All
right.
right.
Absolutely. So, based on what I said here, 3 songs I completely love. A couple songs I like, good riffs, few songs I don't care for at all. I give this a 7 out of 10.
Oh, that's close. We're kind of close. I'm a little higher than you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you
Hey,
go.
that man enough to cry song. What's weird about it too? It's like a happy chorus with like the downer lyrics. You know what I mean? So if you read
Yeah.
the lyrics, you're like, "Well, this is so goofy." Because like, man, enough to cry. It's like so silly. And in the '80s, nobody's singing that.
Right.
Who's gonna sing that?
Right.
You know, I'm
Exactly.
man
And
enough to
I'll get
cry.
into that when we go into the tour dates.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh
right.
boy. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. All right. You
Yep.
guys are, man, I'm just loving, I'm just like, I should just like sit back and just let you guys finish the show because you guys are,
Until we've hung out with you guys.
I love the banter between you guys. I mean, you,
Well,
this is great. I love this. Yeah, I don't know if there's much I can add to a lot of this. I remember getting this on cassette when it came out, so I don't obviously don't have it anymore. But yeah, unfortunately, this reissue that I picked up, it doesn't really have a whole lot of credits
Same with
involved with it.
mine.
Very
Got
little. So
lyrics,
I,
but
yeah, and the lyrics in this booklet, the lyrics are kind of goofed up. They
yeah, they have different songs all over the place. Same
Oh,
with
it's yeah, they didn't do whoever did the layout for this didn't do a good job of of proofreading. But
right.
yeah, so my take, yeah, okay, so TV War, you don't get that dramatic intro like you had with Metal Heart. You don't get a really crushing riff like you did with Balls to the Wall. Yeah, you do get I can see this as where you get more like a Fast as a Shark Part 2 kind of thing. Um for me, I looked at the lyrics as kind of like yeah, you're seeing the war on TV, but then you're also seeing, well, how's this network going to spin the story to get the
oh
ratings?
yeah, yep.
That's
Yep,
kind of
yep.
how that was the other thing
Oh yeah,
I saw with it.
of
I'm like,
course.
gee, gee, are they still doing that today? I don't know. I don't watch news anymore, but I can get the
Right.
picture.
Not
Anyway,
sure.
not going to go there. I don't want to touch that at all. Lyrical solo, you gotta love the dual guitars. I don't know. Is it me or did this have a little bit of an Iron Maiden feel to it?
A little bit.
I don't know. There was something about the in the solos. I think it gave me a little bit of an Iron Maiden feel, like almost had a touch of Aces High somewhere in there.
Just say that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
fair.
know. Maybe
That's
it was
fair.
just me, but that's where I got that. I don't know. Again, I thought it was still a great opener, but you don't get that. You get the more of the Fast as a Shark minus the intro.
Mhm.
But this time they just come right at you instead of the bludgeoning riff, the bludgeoning
Yep.
intro. Um, Monster Man. Okay, you get this. I gotta read my. Okay, to me, I kind of a biting riff. I kind of like this. I think there's a drama to Udo's vocal here. You get kind of a Scorpions like solo, maybe. It sounds like it wants to be a single, like a Midnight Mover type of single, but you're just not going to get a single out of a mercy killing, a euthanasian kind of thing. It's just not gonna
No,
happen,
it's not.
folks. You know, uh, I, yeah. I still like. I kind of like yeah, okay, the gang vocals. I still like them. Okay, it's kind of cheesy with the, "I am no monster man." But
That's okay. That's okay. The part I can't think of it
yeah.
is Udo then chiming in, "Dead or alive, dead or alive."
Well, okay.
He sounds like he's in pain.
No, that's Russian roulette. Anyway, yeah, but still not a bad song. It just, yeah, it put different lyrics to it, and I think it could have been a single, but no, not going to work with euthanasia. Russian roulette. Okay, so the title track. My notes here, I write almost feels like an AC/DC like intro riff
Oh,
meets
yeah.
meets Dogs on Leads.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that's
Oh,
you
fair.
take that atmosphere of Dogs on Leads, you put this steroid induced AC/DC thing, and that's to me,
Yeah.
that's what I felt in the intro. As I was listening through the song, though, another song comes to mind that would come like a couple of years or so later. I think about maybe 4 or 5 years later, but it was a much happier, much brighter sounding tune it feels because the tempo is about the same. And I'm thinking Angel and You from Dangerous Toys. So think about that one, John.
okay.
It kind of has that bluesy
I
shuffle.
can listen to that again to really digest
You know,
that.
well, Angel and stuff, dun, 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 and it's like da 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 da. And this one, you kind of have the dun 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 dun. You kind of have the. It's a happier version of this song, but we'll give that to Jason. That was maybe a little later on. Again, the call and response of the gang vocals, song about the senselessness of war. I mean, Russian roulette usually was looked at as just a horrible way to die. I mean, sorry, Terry Kath, but I mean, and I know there's a lot of others out there who have played the game and unfortunately didn't win. But isn't I mean, war is basically the same thing. I mean, it's you're sacrificing your body and hoping that you don't get that hoping that you don't find the bullet, and it's just still very evident today. I'm getting a lot more, I'm really hearing a lot of the Scorpions flavor throughout a lot of this, but it's still enough to be their own song or their own sound. So I really kind of like that. Um, Great track though. Probably one of my favorites off the album. It's hard to find a way. And that little acoustic intro reminded me a little bit of Goodbye Cruel World. Just a
Okay.
little bit, from Pink Floyd, that dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun. I don't know. It's just again I get these weird connections. I don't know if they really connect, but I again give it to another singer, and I think it could work well. In the hands of Udo, maybe not so much, but another heartbreak of the relationship thing, kind of where that goes. Not a bad song, not the best. Aiming High, I thought was a nice, energetic side closer. I love Udo just singing for his life here in the chorus.
Yeah.
Just reaching out for the app to the stratosphere again. Um, yeah, I thought that a nice trade off in the solos. So it was nice to see Jorg and Wolf getting to do that.
Hmm.
Because Wolf usually has been a dominant, mainly because they haven't been able to keep anybody there for the longest time. But then
True.
you finally get somebody who can complement Wolf a little bit, and it's really kind of nice to hear that. So it's good to see that. Um, Heaven is Hell. Okay. Oh, I take that back. Heaven is Hell. That's where I was thinking the Angel and You reference, not Russian roulette.
Okay.
Wrong song. But Heaven is Hell. That's where I was getting the Dangerous Toys thing. Again, still a bit of an ACDC like intro. kind of really dug that pre-chorus. I thought that was a monster. I love the slow grinding of the song. Basically, I love the throbbing speaker section. I don't know. They're just I always go back to this picture of Udo looking like he's sitting behind a desk at a hostel or some German camp or something, and he's just like heaven is where hell is. Yeah, I don't know. It's just these weird imageries. Any, I love the organ effect. Does kind of give that pastoral feel to it. So I kind of dug that. I thought it was a great side opener personally. Another second to be I love the urgency of this song. Love that urgent drive. You said it was about serial killers, and that's I don't know. I kind of interpreted. I can see the interpretation. I almost also look at it too as like he's made it and they've made it into the mainstream and he's seeing himself on the cover of a rock and roll magazine. So I guess you could kind of look at it that way too, but it's like is it does. I think the serial killer part makes it a lot more sense because it does really kind of make you wonder, is my life really worth what I'm doing, all these different things that goes through the mind. I liked it. I liked the song. I loved, like I said, love the urgency. Good track. Walking in the Shadows. I like the fist pumping intro, that kind of that fight for unity beyond the wall. That's kind of where I was getting this impression. I think it was a song about because the wall was still up yet at this point. And so I think there was a lot of that kind of an imagery here. Um, there was one little section again. I feel like would hear this a few years later. That one part that goes did it did it and did. You guys remember the band Sleazebees?
Mhm.
No.
Yeah, I
Okay,
remember the name.
okay. So they had this song called "Stranger in Paradise" or "Stranger Than Paradise." Love is stranger than paradise, and that vocal line, I'm like, I feel like I've heard that somewhere, and I thought, oh yeah, that's where it reminded me. Again, weird connections. I have no idea where they go to. It's not a bad track though. It's still okay. Man Enough to Cry. I can't really say much more than what you guys said. Decent riff. Yeah, not much else to really say about it. Yeah, Stand Tight. Yeah, let's see. Not bad closer. Call for Unity. Feel like we've heard these kind of songs a lot, whether it's Accept, Judas Priest, whatever it is. But not a bad closer. Not the best. This definitely is not bound to fail part two for sure. So
Well,
not by a long shot. So yeah, I still have a lot of love for this album though. So this one I'd probably go about an eight and a half
Oh wow.
because there's
All
still a
right.
lot of stuff there. There's just a lot of I love a lot of the urgency and a lot of the gang vocal really just hit me really strong. And it always did from when I first got this on cassette back in '86 or whenever it was. So yeah. And let's I do I yeah I do kind of it's weird to see this imagery here. Again, you're right. I don't think it's certainly no predator easy prey by any means. So I think this would have
right.
gotten a little bit more notice. But yeah, there's just seeing the way they look just like German soldiers and German generals and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, they're or Russian and with it being Russian roulette. But yeah, I think there's I think it was just maybe not the right time. And like you said, you get you're thrown into what we listed what about a dozen to 20 albums that came out in this time period, and God
Yeah.
knows how much more there was.
Right.
There was just no room for this. And it's kind of a shame, but
Hmm.
no videos, not that I remember. And if there was, I couldn't even find them. Maybe a lyric video, but that's about as far as they went. They didn't make any videos. So, but yeah, only TV
Yeah.
War was a Japan's only single, and that was it.
And now John usually researches this, but I think the touring profile kind of slipped a little bit too, so that didn't help them any. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? They were certainly weren't blanketing the country. It seems like they did past tours.
yeah.
Correct.
All
We
right.
did so they did 89 tour dates in 1986, but unlike in on the Metal Heart tour where they were really focused on North America, This time they went back to focusing on Europe again.
Hmm.
We have 36 dates in North America. We have 6 dates in Japan and 47 dates in Europe. And they're playing Italy. I'll make sure I named them because I messed up when we did the Balls to the Wall show. And I said, oh, they didn't play Italy. And we have Mangus DC, who lived many of his years in Italy. I'm
Oh.
going, oh, we didn't play Italy. And then I go back when I'm doing my Metal Heart research. I'm like, oh, shit, they played Italy. So I had to put a disclaimer in the comments and sorry, guys. Sorry, Mangus. But yes, we got 3 dates in Italy. But they started in Germany on March 7, 1986, in Stadthal in Osnabrück, Germany, Jeb Ennehall in Amsterdam, Netherlands, capital in Hanover, Germany. What I've been doing with these tour dates, ones that are a little hard to pronounce, I'm just not going to try. I'm just doing what I could. Les Zenith in Paris, France, Sport Hall in Cologne, Germany, Palais des Bleus in Lausanne, Switzerland. And now the 3 dates in Italy. Teatro Tenda Labrungno in Milan, Italy. Teatro Tenda in Rome, Italy. Palazzo della Cultura della Congress, Bologna, Italy. Now we go SFX Hall, Dublin, Ireland. Mayfair Ballroom, Newcastle upon Tyne, England. Parc des Benfield, Brest, France. Palais de la Sports, Barcelona, Spain. Les Borges du Travial, Lyon, France. Force National, Forest, Belgium. Johanneshav Stadion, Stockholm, Sweden. Skedsmo, Holland. Oslo, Norway. Olympian, Lund, Sweden. And Flory in Warsaw, Poland. Then we get to the States and Canada. June 6th. Oh, before I go into those dates, opening for, except on those dates in Europe, Dokken opened on nearly all the dates for
Oh,
Under
wow.
Lock and Key, and UFO were opening some dates as well for the Misdemeanor album.
Wow. So they headlined. They headlined in Europe.
They headlined over UFO. And
Wow.
it is really interesting doing these shows and looking at these tour dates. UFO, we look at them now as one of these great heavy classic rock bands. But during this time,
Oh yeah.
they
Yeah.
were much
They
lower.
were they were rock bottom, so to speak. Well, think
Yes,
about it. Who was left? It was only Phil.
right.
Yeah.
Pete's gone. Shanker's gone. Even who took over for him? Tonka's gone. Like everyone's gone.
Yeah,
It's just Phil. So yeah, they were adrift.
yeah, they
But
were.
but no, I find it interesting though that Dokken was opening for or middle bill for Accept. That's just interesting to me.
Yeah,
And you said that was under the Under Lock and Key album?
under lock and
Yeah, that would have
key.
been about right. Yeah.
Yeah, they were doing,
Wow.
they would do like 4 songs off under lock and key and a couple songs off Tooth and Nail.
Do the nail right.
That's right.
Wow.
But when you get to the United States and Canada, they're opening for Dio for the
Right.
St. Card out, which starts at Hollywood Sportatorium in Pembroke Pines, Florida, the Stabler Arena in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
Civic Arena, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Spectrum in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Madison Square Garden, New York City, New York, CNE Grandstand, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, IMA Sports Arena, Flint, Michigan, Met Center, Bloomington, Minnesota, Peoria Civic Center, Peoria, Illinois, Memorial Coliseum, Corpus Christi, Texas, San Diego Sports Arena, San Diego, California, Oakwood Lake Amphitheater, Manteca, California, Springfield Civic Center, Springfield, Massachusetts. Then they played in Japan. They played at Festival Hall in Osaka, in Shibuya, Kokodo in Tokyo. The last 2 dates, they came back to the States and played L'Amour's in Brooklyn, and
Oh,
Hades was opening.
wow.
So there you go, your tour dates.
What was the date on the Stabler Arena show, just off the top of your head?
June 13, I have written down.
Yeah, I think I had just moved to Maryland by that point, so I wouldn't have been able to have gone to that show. But yeah, that would have been a good one to have seen. Dio and Accepted Stabler. Yeah, that would have been good. But
That was the tour where Ronnie was fighting the dragon on stage. Where he was having this, where he was came out with his sword. I wonder if it was that
maybe,
tour.
maybe I don't
Because
know.
I never saw Dio live.
I was gonna say I never saw him either, so yeah, I couldn't tell you. Uh, that we'd have to bring
I don't
Peter
know.
Kerr. We'd have to bring Peter Kerr in for that one,
Yeah.
or some other Dio fans, or maybe Reed Little or one of those guys would know. But
Was
yeah,
he already onto a different guitar player by then? No, Vivian Campbell. Was that Craig Goldie?
no, I think Sacred Heart was still Vivian.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
I think it
All
was
right.
it was. I don't know if when he officially left.
Right.
I know for the next album that was when Craig Goldie took over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You're going through the dates. The weird thing about well, here's the thing for me. There was a buzz, and in my teenage years, there was a buzz about this band for uh, a Balls to the Wall album. There was a big buzz about them for Metal Heart, but Metal Heart to me just didn't push them over the top, maybe where as they anticipated. And then for this one, there was just no buzz anymore. Like you didn't even hear about them at all, so it was gone. And
yeah.
that's sort of like a shame because the album was definitely good enough to kind of, but it just didn't. I think they got crowded out. That's to me, and record company may not have done them any favors. MTV may have done them any favors. Who knows?
Yeah.
And
So
thrash was really starting to get big now too.
yeah, exactly. They were sort of caught in this thing because Metallica's releasing the album, all these other bands coming up through the underground, and so they're sort of walking a fine line. They're trying to be a little more melodic. They're not going to be a hair band, especially not with Udo. That's the
Right.
problem.
No.
They're not going to, and they did change the singer, but there's too much passage of time. By the time they change the singer, like it's over, right?
Well,
Yes.
and then let's look who else doesn't have a whole lot of hair. I believe that's Stefan.
Right.
Presenting
yeah,
the gun to Udo, so he doesn't have any hair at this
right,
point, and he didn't need a hat to cover it up. So the other guys, I think, still had hair yet,
right.
yet at this point. So yeah, you're right. They weren't really gonna be lumped in that hair metal band because they weren't really singing about the
Mhm.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll like most of
Right,
those bands were. So and they were too lyrical content for the most part were totally different than what the Scorpions were singing.
right,
Maybe, but so yeah, yeah, you're right. It just kind of got lumped in that hodgepodge of stuff, and you just. But if you think that album killed their buzz, then 3 years later.
Oh no, that did it. No, that did it. Yeah, I own that on vinyl, so I do have that. Too. You and I own the two albums in North America.
Probably.
Yeah.
So,
Although in fairness, mine is from a radio station, so I didn't even buy it. So,
well, I think this one originally was one. I just found
yeah,
it at my local store recently, and
yeah,
I thought,
sure.
oh, I'm going to grab it. Why not? But because it's not something you see very much. But yeah,
No.
so, but yeah, that's what we're going to have on for our next
Oh,
episode
good. Yeah.
of Up to the Limit. So, Nick, what other kind of stuff have you been appearing on lately that we should be
Oh, I
having
just
you plug?
just the contrarian stuff. I guess the only other thing was that I was another panelist in a Martin Popoff book that was released not too long ago about Rainbow.
Hmm,
So he usually
okay.
has me in for comic relief. They need at least one or two jesters. But yeah, so that's about it really. Yeah, I'm still staying in my lane.
Okay. Right. And John, we got Thin Lizzy's Thursday and Smithereens Saturday, I believe, is about to come to a close or has come to a close.
Well, Smithering Saturday, I have the episode for the Lost album out right now.
Right.
And this coming Saturday will be the last episode where I talk about their live album as well as do my ranking of the Smithereens albums from my least favorite to my most favorite.
Oh,
So,
cool. That's
Very
cool.
cool.
and then
And
Yeah.
then,
this coming Thursday, which will be October 17,
mhm.
on Thin Lizzy Thursday, I will be reviewing their third album, Vagabonds of the Western World. So there you go.
Cool.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. So, and then by the time this episode's out, we will have already done 1984 with Grant's Rock Warehouse, our top 10 favorite songs of of '84. So yes, Johnny Metal is bringing the metal for this one. I don't think I have a new wave track to be found on this top 10 track list. So I should have some decent stuff there. So let's see. I'm just going to give one other little plug before we wrap it up. For folks who watch the Contrarians, who see a Tranquility, one of their you'll know that one of their one of their stand-up guys that they have on there, Jamie Laszlo. Uh, you know, he'll probably shoot me for posting that for saying anything about this, but keep his family in your thoughts. They had a as the day we record this Sunday, his sister had a fire that took away pretty much everything.
Oh
So
wow, wow.
Jamie, my thoughts are with your family, and I hope they are able to rebuild and recover. Thank goodness they were okay. Their fur babies were okay.
Yeah,
They lost a lot of everything else in the house. At least that hopefully can be replaced and rebuilt. We still have them, so that's a good thing. So,
Yeah.
not to end on a downer note, but anywho, anyway, I'll give that shout out to Jamie. So, all right, y'all. For Nick Esquire, we think it's great having you back on here, brother. It's good. It's nice having these
Thanks.
little reunion things because when I saw John the first time, Nick was also in that mix too. So we all got to meet all at this. We got to meet. I got to meet
and
them
I
too.
didn't know you were going to be there. I didn't know you were going to be there. I was like, it was a shock. So
Yeah,
good.
and that was a
Yeah,
that was a nice shock. So those are always
yeah, it was
good
nice.
things.
Yeah.
So yes, for Nick Esquire in his secret location, for John the Music Nut from the Music Nut program, John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, rock forever, y'all. Up to the limit, episode 8 or 9 or something. I can't remember my numbers. Eat the heat. That's what we'll be doing next week. So we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.